Okay, people, welcome to this ordinary meeting of council. Do we have any conflicts of interest? No conflicts of interest. We've got no apologies. And we go straight to the public forum.
Well, that's great.
Oh, Craig Bowyer, sorry. Councillor Bowyer is an apology. Move Councillor Johnson, second Councillor Lennox, all in favour? Thank you. We move straight into public forum. And we have Tia, if you'd like to come forward.
Oh,
Yep.
at the front.
Kuri tia te tauru o te rangi ka tīna kia whēna kia toko te manawa ora. Tīna toko te manawa ora ki whea. Tīna toko te manawa ora ki tōku ngā kai titi kaha, ki tōku ngā kai pono, ki tōku ngā kai aroha. Tīna toko te manawa ora ki whea. Tīna toko te manawa ora ki tōku hāro atu, ki tōku hāro mai kia rere atu te mauri rere kia tau mai te mauri tau. Kia ora.
Tēnā tātai, te tuatahi nā mihi, kia iho nāna nei tu tātou awe whakatinana. A raupurangi nui e tūhonei, ko papatu unu koe tāku tōnei, e mihi ana, e mihi ana. Te tuarua, nā mihi. Nui kia tātou nei whānau, ko hoki atu ki Hawaii nui, Hawaii roa. Hawaii ki Pakamama. Hoki pai atu ki o tātou nei tikuna, mua reira tēnā tātou. Nā te. Kia koutou Lieng, Mam Joe, nā wahine toa o Wairarapa, e noho ki Wanganui i roto i nei ki Waitara, Pakitara. Sorry, nā te anō. Kei te mihi nui kia koutou, hei hāpaiti a tātou nei whakapaka, o whakaori i nei mō reira tēnā. Kia pui Gary, nui a ki te mihi kia pui, te mea o te kaini a arehe. Tēnā anō hoki te e timataki a miri tōku hukina ki a tātou nei o tōku o te Wairarapa. Ara ko te mō reira tēnā koe. Ia koutou nā lema o te kainihira, tēnā tātou. O tātou, o oku nei wā tapito, tēnā koutou katoa. So I'm here today to talk about insolubilities. We've just had a lot of fun over it yesterday. So me and Mahirangi are here today to talk to you about the Māori wards and about the decision that's before you today. And I'm not here because my mother's the Māori ward. Everybody here in the council knows how very clear we are in our lanes. You know, I had to call the councillor Tuta as soon as she started talking. So,
We call her mum.
Yeah, so we're here today to talk about the option that we would prefer for our whānau is the Māori ward, for the Māori ward decision. And that is around option B. We're requesting that the council's decision today be that you hold a binding poll. In 2021, this council made a decision to have a Māori ward, and with that, levelled up the relationships that you have with Māori here in Masterton, and it created respectful and mutual respective relationships that never existed before, and it was only on paper through your memorandums of understanding, through everything else, but it was only on paper. What that decision that was made in 2021 created an opening for the beginning of a trusting relationship, knowing that we had a voice here. And I know that Mum, maybe now I don't have to get a I know that Mum says that she's here for all people, but the difference that she brings to this table is that she brings that Māori lens over, a Wairarapa Māori lens into that space, and that's what that chair or that board does. And that's a different perspective from everybody else here in the room that sits around that table. But she also, that seat, would also bring the mana of our whakapapa, of our tipuna, into this room as well, alongside of our iwi representatives. So I just want to reflect back to Koroja, Rimini, as well, back in the 80s. He did a lot of work inside of the council to build relationships between council and Māori. And from the government's decision making this council either to disestablish the ward or hold the binding pole. That's a lot. That's, we're backtracking a lot. And those relationships that were built from just that decision that was made in 2021 didn't just occur here around this table. It occurred right throughout from the operations and management as well. It opened the door a bit more. Even though there needed to be more work done, it opened that door for us to have more conversations with the Māori people as a whole. I just want to refer to Kieran McAnulty's comment around the cost of the consultation plus the binding pole. I know that it is going to be a cost to this council, and I understand that. Either or, but either or you're going to have, it's going to cost money. But what we are asking to do is to consider the cost, the non-fiscal costs that come with that decision. That decision, and I'll refer back again to the 2021 decision, came with non-fiscal costs. And I understand what he's saying, because it is a cost, and that is part of the decision that you're making today, is around those costs. But please consider that. I also want to talk about this council as a whole, because I do have information inside Rugby. Masterton District Council is innovative in the way that they lead, and I know that. And you also have the courage to make decisions that that have lasting benefits and that are good, That decision, and I go back to that decision again, and I will keep going back to that decision that you've made in 2021. And I understand the constituents, I understand that, but you've all seen the examples of the benefits that have come from having that walk around those around your decision table. And I encourage you today to take all of that, those experiences, the decision, the constituents that you hold, and by leading that way. Not only for us here in Masterton, but what you do with the other 3 councils as well, as a whole, so the whole entire Wairarapa actually leads in spaces that are innovative. And I just want to mihi to you, and mihi to all of you too. So kia ora.
Kia ora taku tuhine. Hei tāwhiri atu ki tā tia kōrero me mihi tā tika ki koutou te kaunihira o te hei takiwai. I haven't got much more to add to Tia's kōrero other than to say, together we are standing here today as representatives of 2 iwi here in the Wairarapa. This is an ahorua representation that you have in front of you, and we are saying to you as our tangata tiriti partners that our preferred approach to this government's decisions around Māori wards is to take it to a poll. Yes, we understand the implications, but I think that we always need to have circuit breakers every now and again. And things like Māori wards, things like 7AA, things like changes to Te Manawa Te Wai, they are all circuit breakers that allow some quick changes in thinking for us to be innovative. And without those sort of circuit breakers, we run the risk of doing the same old thing on a different day. So would definitely encourage you guys to think about this, think about where we've come from and where we are continuing to go to as a hapori.
Thank you so much. And now I'll ask Nelson. Nelson? One off, yeah.
Question?
Normally. Yeah.
Just a question of clarity. Just want clarity around, you said option B. Yeah, but there's two options for a binding poll. One is to retain the Māori ward for the next term and have a binding poll for the term after that. Another one is to have a binding poll which will determine what happens in the next term. Does that make sense? So one of the options allows us to, excuse me, to keep the Māori ward in place for the next council term, but the binding poll will apply to the term after that. Or do you want the binding poll for the next term?
No, fine.
The one after.
So the 2025 team?
It's 1A.
Yeah, it's 1A.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Oh.
Okay, now. Thank you.
You're molting. Get those for you, Uncle.
Your Worship, councillors, good morning to all who are present here today. My name is Nelson Rangi. The subject for discussion today is around the future of the Maori wards in the Masterton district. Last night, the bill which the government brought before the House in relation to this was passed into law. A law which is quite frankly designed to further limit the ability of Māori to be able to take an active part in community affairs. The government has allowed, as has been mentioned, several options, and each way to either certain councils, including Masterton, can either hold a binding referendum at the time of the next year's local body elections, or to scrap the existing Maori wards. Both these options demand that that the council make the decisions now. The decision or the option, the first option, requires council to make a decision to hold a poll at next year's elections. They don't have the opportunity to consult with the community. It's purely an in-house decision which has to be registered with the government by the 6th of September this year. That's 5 weeks away. Once that's done, then it's out of the hands of the council. whatever happens, happens. And no matter what the result of the poll is, the council's hands are clean. However, once this is done, once it's been registered, there is absolutely nothing to prevent council from holding a series of explanatory or information events, and to use any media or any other form that is available to it to be able to explain, to inform or to educate the general public of Masterton as to all of the features regarding Maori wards, so that by the time the voter gets to the polling booth next year, they will be fully informed, have a fuller, a clearer, and an accurate understanding of all the features of the Maori wards, so that they're in position to make an informed choice at the ballot box. The second option calls on the council to consult with the community, and at the end of that consultation period, to make a decision, a final decision as to whether or not to hold a poll next year or to scrap the existing ward. On the basis of doing that, once again, the decision has to be registered with the government again on the 6th of September 2024. Then that is 5 weeks and 2 days from today. Now that is a virtually impossible task for this council or any other council to go through this whole process and make any sort of a fist at all of anything more than a cursory and scattergun abbreviated consultation, and be able to do that all, make decisions and do that within that time frame. And now it could be said that they have the same opportunity as in the option 1 to be able to hold later these various consultations and information sessions. But that is not strictly true, because the council has already made a big hoo-ha about trying to have a consultation with the community. And if they go along and say, look, we only gave you part of the story, we want to tell you the rest over the next 12 months, people are going to say, what? You mean to tell me that they gave me one story now and they want to change the story and do it again? There's something funny going on here. Or they want to sort of say, look, we know that you've advertised, you've already had these consultation meetings, we don't want another one. Look, the council has only one shot at this, to do it once, to do it properly, do it well, and that's the only way that they're able to have any reasonable chance of being able to get their point across when it comes time for polling. There is another option. That option, the people that I have been speaking to have all agreed that to willingly or to voluntarily disestablish existing Maori wards, it's not an option. It shouldn't be considered, it should not be debated. There's no reason to even speak about it. And we believe that the council is of like mind. After all, this council, the Masterton District Council, they established a Maori ward just 2 years ago. It is in operation now. Why on earth would they now want to go around and scrap the whole thing? So that is why I believe that that is not an option. You know, when European settlement, that was mostly British, came to New Zealand, quite a number of people, they embarked on a planned campaign to annihilate, or at the very least to limit, to reduce the Maori population to an insignificant minority. And they used every trick in the book to try to achieve that. There were, a lot of it was there were all sorts of things that they did. For instance, quite a number of it was illegal. Quite a number of the occasions were illegal. They were they resorted to what do you call it? Bloodshed. They passed laws for the common good, and that was the common good of settlers, certainly not the common good of the Maori population. They did a whole number of things in which to limit the opportunities for Maori to take their place within the society of the time. And that campaign has continued right through even to today. And the bill that was passed into law yesterday is a prime example of the lengths to which the authorities will go to ensure that they continue their program of discriminatory actions, particularly directed at, and specifically directed at Maori. And I say discriminatory, you know, no other local body ward has ever been required to go through a government edict to hold any sort of a poll or referendum to allow it to be in existence. That's the prerogative of councils, and in every way, except on this occasion, one that is specifically directed at Maori, and that, I say, is discrimination at its worst. And that is why, Councillor, this is why I and the people I support earnestly beseech you as a council to adopt the option that you believe best allows the council to determine itself whether it wants to continue with the Maori ward and the existing Maori ward and into the future, rather than revert back to the 90s and most of the 20th century. And we believe at this stage that option one is the option which is most likely to be the most effective way of being able to have that going through a poll and get the result that I'm sure that you, and particularly all Maori, desire. Bear in mind that when I talk about Maori, I'm talking about 1 in every 5 people in the community, in the Masterton community, and indeed right throughout New Zealand. They're not just some word that's spoken about, it's got nothing to do with us anyhow. I don't know what they're all on about. They are people, they are human, and they deserve to be able to take their part within the affairs of the community. And so I believe that by adopting option 1, you are in a better position to be able to get a satisfactory poll of the well-informed voters, rather than the other option that is available to them. We are both on the same wavelength. Maori as a whole support the fact of support of continuing with Maori wars, and I'm sure that the council does likewise. We've been operating a Maori ward in this district for 2 years, and they'll be able to show that it has enhanced the ability of this council to have a wider range of views, of different views around there. And I'm certain that Marama, in taking her seat on this, fills that seat with thoughtfulness and dignity. And I am certain that you should not, as a council, should not willingly allow that to be thrown away. To complete my story, I want to mention that this bill, now law, is particularly directed at Maori, who will support anything that allows Maori wards in particular to carry on, that they will support that, but it is so important that it is not sufficient now for Maori to nod their heads and to shrug their shoulders as a matter of support. It is time now for Maori to get off their backside and stand up and be counted and be proactive and do whatever it is that is appropriate to assist and support the council in any endeavour to see that the wards as we have now are protected, and do that. And I give my word and my mana to seek from the various Maori leaders in the district to ask their respective whānau to do just that, to stand up and be counted, to stand up and give active support to this affair. And you know, and that's not just waving a flag on a street corner. This is doing some things, particularly if it's coordinated with the existing or the processes that you're going to go through. And one of the most powerful ways, and probably the easiest, for Maoris to show their solidarity is to turn up in numbers at any and all of the council organised hui meetings, events, anything at all, just to discuss the business of Maori waters. They don't even have to say anything. They, just the fact of being there sends a very strong message to the mainstream people who are there that they're taking it seriously. And these are the people directly affected, and they are people, they are humans. They are not just some word that doesn't mean a great deal to other people. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't know what they're on about. And that in itself would indicate a strong message that the option, firstly, the best option to take to see to be able to inform voters who will make a reasonable and responsible choice at the ballot box. We ask that that be done. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Kia ora tātou.
Thank you so much, Nelson. Thank you so much. I'll now move into the report and ask Karen.
Mā waira e lauri mā te mai wa hone mā te tia mā te pono me taro. Who will look after us going forward? Truth, honesty, love. Kia ora.
We'll now move into the report and I'll ask Karen to get the report.
Well, Tato, I think our esteemed co-master has done most of my job for me in presenting what we have before us today and what the legislation regards. I just wanted to make a couple of points of clarification and then go into how that legislation translates into the decisions before you today. So we had the third reading of the bill yesterday, so that finishes the bill in the House. And what happens then is that the bill goes to royal assent, so the Governor-General signs that off as legislation. And then generally what happens is that then it comes into effect the day after the Governor-General has signed it. So I don't actually know whether the Governor-General signed it yesterday, so whether it's in effect today or whether it actually comes into effect tomorrow. So what we've done is we've just made a little amendment to the recommendation, just to take into effect that when it does come into effect, this will be what the decision of the Council will be. So just a couple of points then on the consultation requirements, because these do come into the options before you today. So the bill disapplied the need to carry out special consultative procedure, which is the highest form of consultation and engagement that we carry out as a council under the Local Government Act. For these sorts of decisions, we usually would have to follow the special consultative procedure, have a statement of proposal, carry out weekly and really meaningful consultation. That has been disapplied, so the decision can be made today by the Council. But what didn't happen in the legislation is that other remaining provisions around decision-making requirements, so your requirement to understand what the views of the community are before you make a decision, those requirements and also the consultation principles around actually determining whether you know what the views of the community are, they still apply. So we don't have to follow the special consultative procedure, but there are potentially consultation requirements. So what we do in those circumstances is we look to our significance of consultation policy to determine what sort of consultation we need to carry out. Now, if it's a significant decision, then we ordinarily would carry out something like the special consultative procedure. We know that this is a significant decision, particularly for Māori in our community. And so, ordinarily we would be carrying out consultation before making a decision today. However, the policy does allow us to not carry out consultation or to carry out limited consultation where a matter is an urgent matter or it's a particularly strategic matter. So So it does leave that ability up to the council to use its discretion around what sort of consultation it should choose. So taking those requirements into account, we've got 4 options that translate what the government requirements are, and as we've heard, we need to make a decision by the 6th of September into the options for you to make a decision today. So option 1 is to retain the Marley ward for the 2025 elections, that's next one, elections coming up next year, and carry out that poll in 2025. And as we've heard, we have already consulted with our iwi leaders, and we've heard today that that is the option that they would prefer around carrying out the poll. So the poll results will be carried out in 25, and then whatever outcome there was of the poll, because it's binding, would come into effect for the 2028 and the 2031 elections at least. And then we would carry out a representation review to determine what happened after that. So option 1A is for you to make that decision today without consulting the community before you make that decision. Now, we have provided in the paper that there are reasons that you can make that decision today, and that is because of our policy says in those matters of urgency. As we've heard from Konratawa, we'll effectively have 2 to 2.5 weeks to be able to go out and consult with the community. We need to carry out meaningful consultation. It has to be robust. We know that Māori are particularly affected by this decision. And we've spoken to, as I say, our iwi leaders, and actually having meaningful consultation with iwi, and then for iwi to be able to have meaningful consultation with their whānau, 2.5 weeks is really not a great deal of time in order to do that. So we feel that would come into that urgency and provision within the policy. We know that we need to, within the policy itself, there are particular requirements for carrying out meaningful consultation, particularly with Māori, where Māori are affected, and that's what we're looking at today. Alternatively, if the council felt that it really did want to have the views of the community before it made a decision to retain the Māori ward, there is the ability to do that, and we would do as much as what we can in order to get out to the community and provide them with information on what actually the decision means for retaining the Māori ward, rather than actually just establishing it as a preferred position. So that's a decision that you can make. Option 2 would be to disestablish the Māori ward today. Then we're of course left then with what do we do for our representation arrangements if we don't have a Māori ward. We've currently got a Māori ward and we've got a general ward to balance the Māori ward, and we also have councillors at large. So the first, for option 2, the first point would be to actually go back to our previous representation arrangements, which were councillors all elected at large. We would need, in order for you, if that was your preferred option, we would need to come back to you next week, because we'll have to update what our population figures are, just to be able to determine whether the prior arrangements would still be fair and representative, as what we have to comply with the representation principles in the local electoral law. The third option would be to disestablish the Māori ward and to carry out a shortened representation review, so you would do all of that ward. If we don't have a Māori ward, what would our representation arrangements look like? We would need to do, the shortened review is basically do all of the representation review, but in a much shorter time. And that would mean, again, going out and consulting, and we'd have to actually put together our statement of proposal on what those arrangements would look like, at the same time that we would be consulting on whether that was the preferred option or not, because we've had such a limited amount of time in order to be able to do that. So those are the 4 options in front of you today. We've got a timetable in the appendix to show you how tight that would be, but we would, if that was a decision that you made, then we would gladly stop to meet those requirements. So yeah, I've provided 3 with an amendment to that recommendation 5, just to acknowledge the timing around the bill coming into effect.
Okay, questions for Karen? It's questions, not statements. Questions? No questions? Okay, yes, Councillor Lena.
Yeah, just if today we choose option 1A, we can then have consultation prior to the binding poll.
Absolutely, and that would be the the reason why we felt that we wouldn't need to consult today, because actually the poll is the consultation, and we would be able to carry out over the next year some really robust education, providing information, allowing Iwi to get out to whānau and engage with people about the Māori electoral role, being on the Māori electoral role, and everything that would mean. So it's not deferring consultation, it's actually deferring consultation while we're having consultation.
Councillor.
I was just going to say it's engagement, not consultation, isn't
Councillor
it?
Goodwin.
If we did adopt 1A, it just concerns me, and maybe it doesn't have to be sorted out today, but there's no budgetary provision for that engagement between now and the poll. It just says it'll take some start time, but
Yes, there would be some implications there, as there always is when we carry out consultation. We haven't actually included that because that was outside of our...
How do you think we should address that deficit?
We could come back to council next week on that, depending on what the decision is today. We'd need to get some good figures for what that is.
Any further questions? If there's no further questions, we'll now get into the discussion. The recommendations are on page 6. I am going to move the recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now 5, the wording changes slightly, rather to agree to either we agree that when the changes to the Local Government Electoral Act come into effect, the council will. And I am recommending A, that we retain the Maori Ward for the 2025 election, hold a binding poll for the 2025 election. So that is the recommendation. Councillor Johnson, second. I just want to make a comment to start with to say that I'm really disappointed that this has come back to council. I believe that we made a decision a couple of years ago, and it was very strongly made, that we felt that a Maori Ward was good value for Masterton, and it seems to me, when you look at it, there's 45 councils have resolved to establish Maori Wards since 2021. We were part of a letter written to government saying that we did not agree with the fact that that there should be any way that the Maori Ward should be taken away. I'm really strong on that. I believe that we've seen the value of the Maori Ward round the stable through Marama. We've been very lucky with, as a council, to have somebody Marama's Mana in that position, and she's done a tremendous job in not only, to me, giving us the value of the Maori feel to decisions, but also looking at it from a wider community aspect. Now, I know Marama's made a lot of that. So I'm really disappointed that we've had to do this. Personally, I don't care how much it costs, really. I believe that this is something we have to do. I absolutely take on board the words from Nelson regarding the fact that we're going to have to get off our butts as well around this table to really make a strong case for Maori Wards. When you're talking of population, it's going to be a hard sell. And it's going to take us along with the Maori to make a really strong sell for this, and we need to get underway on that as soon as we can. But as I say, my feeling is I'm really disappointed we've even got to this stage. It's just, to me, it's ridiculous. I think the government should have left it the way it was. But anyway, here we are. We have to do this, and I'd like to think that this council will be unanimous in supporting option A. Any further Bex?
Yeah, thanks Gary. I don't have my back to you. I agree. I think it's ludicrous that we're having to revisit this. It just doesn't make sense. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is, and also too, when government force us to do things, they should foot the bill. It shouldn't be the cost of our ratepayers and residents that we're having to revisit this decision that we made in 2021, and it was the right decision. And the third thing, this lives and dies on the next 12 months. We need to get all of our community engaged, and we need to get all of our community having a say, and also looking deep inside them to make sure that they're looking at their heart and their reasons for making a decision and making the right decision. So I think it's really important that we work together with your community so that all of our community realises what the right thing is to do.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Lennox.
Thank you. Kia ora, everybody. I'm just going to share my personal thoughts on this. This bill is just wrong on so many levels. And it's yet another step backwards when prior to this new government, we were making some positive headways and building relationships, working together and becoming one people. So it's a sad day. It's a sad day for me as a councillor, Marama. It's a sad day for you. It's a sad day for us all. And I feel quite proud of our council in the way that we do feel and support the ward and support you guys as people. And again, of course, regardless of the result today, it's a decision that's being put down our throats. And I wish there was an option of do nothing, just stick to what we have now, because that to me is the best result for everybody. Thank you.
Councillor Joe.
Anō te mihi atu pia koutou. As the iwi representative, we don't get a vote at this table on the council when it comes to council voting days. We don't get a vote, but one of the things I just want to say about this whole bill, I think it has been a waste of time for this government to do what it's doing. I sat in 2021 in this room advocating for Māori wards, not only for this council, but for South Wairarapa and also for Tararua, and I was pleased 2 of the councils took it up. I sat in the Labour League Government's Select Committee and also advocated for Māori wards. I then repeated that a few weeks ago with this National League Government about a waste of time, a waste of taxpayers' money. It is working. And it may have been an experimental thing that the local governments came into, but I think the Masterton District Council has benefited extremely well by having a Māori ward as part and parcel of this table. Marama and those that will follow behind you, and when that happens, there will be big boots to fill. And I want to see this council retain this Māori ward. I think it's absolutely important that you do that. Everything that Nelson said in his kōrero, the same with Mihirangi looking at circuit breakers. Masterton District Council has done many of those circuit breakers. And I think that this is going to be another big one. Like yourself, Gary, it's not about the money. It's about the principle. It's about the ihi, the wehi and the mana of the iwi, the council. All the way through. That's what it's all about. And it's not about the person, it's about the position. Our people have never really represented ourselves in the vote for local government, as many others in the district. And this time, we really do have to represent ourselves and step up. There's only about 10,000 of us in this whole region, but only about, 5,000 or 6,000 in the Masterton District Council region. Every single vote will count. And we are up against it, Farmer. We're really up against it. But I think if we all work together, we can pull this off. So option 1A is what I'd like the council to consider and to push through this meeting today. It shows good faith, it shows a great relationship by you listening to what the iwi have said today, and also for the future of representation at this table for iwi Māori for Māori. Kia ora.
Any further points? Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, this is, given New Zealand's past, it's embarrassing to see a racist move such as this be put upon us. I'm sorry we have to go through this now.
Sure.
But I'm also optimistic that in a very short number of years it'll be redressed.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Nelson?
Thank you. Just saying, don't go into this with a defeatist mentality that it's just going to be a loss. You know, I teach and I lead a school that is predominantly New Zealand Māori, Lakeview School, but I also see a greater number of New Zealand European students coming to that school who used to choose not to. And that's a school where the Board of Trustees, led by Stella, has mandated the compulsory teaching of Te Reo Māori and the compulsory participation in ka Pākehā. So I think we need to go into this optimistically and not just assuming that it will be lost and this will be the last term. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nelson. Councillor Holmes.
Well, I stand up today as a person who voted against it last time around. And I just want to explain why I voted against it. I voted against it because I believe that we're all New Zealanders and anybody can take that seat that they want, no matter what nationality they are or anything. So that's why I voted against it then, and I take it on the chin that we lost it. I have to say now that I haven't changed my mind about the reason I voted against it, but I'm happy to back the 1A, where we retain the seat for the next election and have a binding referendum, because I think that is very fair to everybody. Terribly disappointed that we've had to come to this decision today, but it's got one plea for all you people sitting out there. I'm involved with lots of different organisations, and I just hope that you people can keep on coming up with good candidates to help us all out, so that as we go forward with all our water reforms, we go forward with all sorts of things, we have good representation from you people. And I have to say we have been blessed with Marama, we've been blessed with Joe, and I just thank you all, and I look forward to seeing what's happened ahead of us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Helena, then Councillor Tudor.
Kia koutou, ko hara mai nei, hei tautoko kāro o Tarane, nā reira a tēnā koutou. Yeah, for me, I definitely support 1A. I think it's the best of a bad bunch. But I just want to emphasise Matua Nelson's points around when we go to that binding poll, we do need to educate our community. We're born with bias in our brains, and what we don't understand, we tend to have a bias towards. But when that bias is broken down, most people are fair and just in their thinking, and I think we have a responsibility to make sure that consultation process is an education process and an engagement process, and it's fair and just in terms of how we present our wording. I guess just to my colleagues' points over there, I hear a lot still that our democracy, our representation is built on one person, one vote, and that's fair and just. But we know one person, one vote leaves a whole lot of other groups out who don't have the numbers to make a difference when it comes to voting, and that's why we have wards, to give certain groups a voice who deserve a voice. The last thing I want to say is, for me, retaining the ward is not enough. I think we need to strengthen how we use our iwi reps as well, and I think that needs to be a discussion going forward.
Thank you so much, Councillor Helena. Councillor Tudor.
Pai ki te whiti a koutou, i tēnei kata. Fellow councillors, we heard Mahirangi speak about circuit breakers, and I just want you to think for a little bit about just some of those circuit breakers. Ada Glavish, who a circuit breaker when she used Kia ora as a greeting on the toll exchange. Now we all use it. aren't we a better place because one person had the courage to break the circuit? Think of Niwe Mori when she sang the Māori version of the God Save, of our national anthem. Thank you, Joe. And today we watch on TV and see our children when they attend sports events or go to the Olympics and see. We watch all the people of New Zealand breaking the circuit when they sing the Māori version of the national anthem. So we do need circuit breakers, and the council was a circuit breaker when it said Masterton is going to have a Māori board. Now, some people might say, we have iwi reps, we don't need a Māori board. But I think the iwi rep, or iwi reps, they serve a purpose, because a Māori board, the person who has voted in can't get up and leave if they don't like a decision. They haven't got to vote, iwi reps, but they can walk with their feet, as they did recently. And it was very strong because their absence was noted. So they negotiated their way back. The Māori board can't do that. And yeah, I just want to thank Joe for breaking the circuit. Sometimes you have to be strong and be brave and do things differently. I'm really proud of the council because I voted differently to some people some of the time, and yet it doesn't seem to have been held against me. We're all different. We come to the table from different perspectives. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for thinking that way. I haven't got much more to say except it's a seat that's important, and whoever sits in here, I hope they continue to do a good job, because I know that I have. And, yesterday I was at a meeting for stroke victims, and we're doing things with the Masterton Hospital, with the doctors. We had a doctor and a physio there. And unless we're willing to work alongside different people in different arenas, we're never going to change. So that's all I want to say. Kia ora koutou.
Thank you, Councillor Tuta. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'm going to put the recommendations. And I'll just again read the 5, which is that we retain the Maori Ward for the 2025 election and hold a binding poll at the 2025 election. So that is what we're voting on. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you so much, councillors, and thank you so much for attending. Great to see so many in the studio.
So Gary, can you put forward get some forward from the substudy
I now agree with everybody. Thank you so much.
Gary.